Hello, I'm Martin Lewis from Branson Tractors, and this video is a walkthrough of the Branson 1905 hydrostatic 19 horsepower Yanmar powered tractor. So to start with, I'll just walk through this side and then we'll come round the other side and point out all the features of the tractor. Starting at the back here, we have a fuel filler. Moving forward, we have the PTO, automatic PTO on and off. So you have PTO off, PTO on, and press to turn off. This lever here is the range shifter. You have low range, a neutral, and a high range. The low range means that you're going slowly. The high range means that you're going quickly. Here is your lift for the rear linkage. It's not a position, a classic sort of tractor position control. It's return to centre, so you go up to lift the linkage up, let go and it stops, down to move the linkage down, and to the centre it stops again. Nice and easy to use. Here you have selectable 2 or 4 wheel drive. So you have 4 wheel drive on here and 2 wheel drive position in the off position here. Moving down to your foot controls, you have 2 pedals, one to go forward and one to go reverse. There's no clutch on this tractor. It's a full hydrostatic tractor. There's no clutch for the PTO as we've just seen. So it's completely easy to use, a little bit like a step up from a garden tractor. So when you press forward on or reverse on your pedals, it automatically throttles the engine as well, which we'll see later in the driving video. This means that as you drive, as you want the tractor to go faster and faster forwards, the engine responds to you and increases the throttle of the engine, making it a much nicer driving experience than tractors that don't do that. Connected as well to the forward and reverse pedal here, you've got cruise control on the dashboard. You've got an on and an off position on the cruise control. So as you press your pedal forward to decide how fast you want to be driving forward, if you just click cruise control on, it'll hold that forward motion until you either press cruise control off or press the brake pedal, which is on your left hand side. We'll see that in a few moments. Also here you have your hand throttle control. This really is used for when you're using implements connected to the tractor that require PTO speed. And we'll see that when we go around the other side. I'll show you on the dashboard, but effectively you can increase the throttle to PTO revs or whatever other revs you want to use. That will not affect your feet control then. The foot control throttle only overtakes the hand control when it wants to go above where you've set it on the hand control. That will become clearer later. Moving forwards, I said it was a 19 horsepower Yanmar engine. Nice and easy to get into the engine compartment. Just a little catch here and you can open up the engine compartment. 19 horsepower diesel Yanmar engine here, 3-cylinder. Not a lot to point out on this side. You've got your air intake here with an air filter. We'll look at that in a few minutes. You've got an engine oil filler point here. Generally on Branson tractors, all of the service points or filler points are colour coded in a nice bright colour orange here to show that that you need to do something there. Moving round to this side of the tractor, a few things to point out. At the bottom of the tractor here, you have the front axle oil filler and dipstick, so you can check the front axle oil. Easy to get to, again colour coded, nice bright colour so you can see what you're doing. Here you have the engine oil dipstick and next to it the engine oil filter. Here's a second engine oil filler point if it's more handy to use that one. Moving up here we have a fuel filter and a fuel shut-off. And further down here, you can't really see it, there's also a water separator. So you have a water separator and a fuel filter to protect the engine from contamination in the fuel tank. Just here we have the throttle cables. This one is the hand throttle cable and this one is the foot throttle cable. So they will throttle the engine, whichever one is required more. Up here we have the air filter element, and I'll just take this off. You just have to take this little band off here, unclip 2 clips, and then the cap will come off. You can then take the air filter element off and either blow that out or replace it after 500 hours. It's important to keep air coming into your engine nice and clean and easy. So to put it back on, same in reverse. Clip your cap back on, clip your clips on, and put the band back on to hold it in position. Nice and easy to do. Connected with the air filter element is the grass screen. Really important thing to do if you're mowing, particularly in the summertime, is make sure grass will collect across that as you're mowing. Lots of grass in the atmosphere, and that's where the engine sucks in its air. So you need to make sure that is nice and clear, nice and easy to get to. Make sure that's nice and clear every time you start mowing so the engine doesn't overheat. Looking now at the control panel of the tractor, on the left hand side here you have a fairly standard light switch. So you have, if I just turn the ignition on, you can see you have the right hand indicator here, left hand indicator here, and then a light switch, and you can see the little lights coming on and off on the dashboard as you do that. Here also you have a hazard warning switch, so that there's a function on the tractor for that. And also on here, on the dashboard, you see the diesel preheater light here. I've just turned the engine on. Make sure that you heat the diesel preheaters a little while until they turn off before you start the engine, and that will mean that you get efficient engine starting, particularly in cold weather. You can see it just turn off there. Now you should be able to start the engine successfully. On the left hand side of the tractor, we have a brake pedal, foot brake pedal. This is also the park brake in combination with a little switch just on your right foot here. So if you press the foot pedal down, depress the park brake switch, then that'll hold the brake on for when you're in a parked situation. Nice and easy to use. Moving around here, this tractor is very much set up for mowing operations. It makes mowing very easy. And this dial here is an adjustable dial for the mower, 54-inch mower, that is an option with the tractor. And this means that without getting off the seat, you can adjust your height position for your mower from 1 all the way up to 4 inches, right from the seat. So the operation is you lift the mower, the rear linkage that we saw earlier, all the way up in the air. You set the height of cut that you want to achieve, and then lower the mower down, and it will sit at that particular height. So that means if you're cutting very fine grass that you want to cut at 1 inch, and then in some side areas it's much rougher grass and you want 3 or 4 inches of cut in that area, you don't have to get off the tractor, you don't even have to stop the tractor to be able to adjust your cut height there. Another little feature to point out here is a diff lock. So you have 4-wheel drive, we saw on the other side of the tractor. Here, if you really get in a position where the wheels are stuck or you're difficult to drive, then you can engage with your foot diff lock, which will help you out of those particular situations. Here we have the drop rate for the rear linkage. Drop rate is designed so that you alter the rate of drop of the 3-point linkage depending on the weight of the equipment that you've got on the back. So a typical way of using this is to close it all the way off so it's completely locked. Put your piece of equipment on the back, lift it up, and then try and drop it. Because it's locked, it won't drop at all, and you just turn this dial open a little bit, and then that'll allow the linkage to drop nice and carefully to the floor. Just on the seat, you've got a little bit of adjustment on the seat here. You can go forwards and backwards to adjust for your sort of leg position, etc. On this lever here on this side is your PTO selector. You have either the mid PTO, 2,500 revs in this position, The rear PTO only 540 revs in this position, or mid and rear together, so you can run something like a mower and maybe a powered collector or something on the back in this position here. Moving round now to the rear of the tractor, I'll just point out the rollover protection system on the tractor, or ROPS frame. This should always be up for driving operations or mowing or whatever you're using the tractor for, but there is an ability to fold the frame down to be able to store it in a shed or garage or wherever you need to store it. So it's nice and easy to do. There's 2 pins with little catches attached to the pins. You take both of these out, like so, and then the ROPS frame itself will just fold down nice and easily, and you can then drive it into a garage or a shed. In reverse, nice and easy to do. When you come back out of your shed, fold the ROPS back up. The pins might need a little bit of a wobble just to get them in, but they're quite easy to put in and out. Also, you can actually adjust how stiff the ROPS is by adjusting the tension on this bolt here on both sides. Just give the frame a little wobble as the pins go in. And that's now ready for driving operations again. So on the back of the tractor, a few things to point out. This is actually an option on the tractor. It's a double acting spool valve. You can have that as an optional extra. 2 ports on the back. You can use it for a tipping trailer or a log splitter or a something like a side shift flail mower or something that needs some extra hydraulic control on the back. And that is operated up and down with this lever here. Energizes this spool, this port up and this port down as you press the lever. Something to point out on the back of the seat here quickly whilst we're here. This is a seat switch. That is to protect the operator for conditions such as if you're mowing, you can't, and you've got the PTO engaged, you can't then get off the tractor. It will automatically stop the tractor as you try to get off the tractor. And also, you have to be sitting on the tractor for it to be able to be started. So that's just some safety features on the tractor. And of course, the seat is foldable as well. Having a look at the top link, this standard category 1 linkage, but the whole linkage is actually a narrow category 1 linkage. This tractor is classed as a subcompact tractor, so it has all category 1 linkage parts, apart from the actual width of the linkage is slightly narrower. This is sometimes slightly limiting for some wider pieces of equipment which are category 1, but most normal category 1 equipment will fit on the tractor. So the top link we were just talking about, a little stowage position, quite a nice little feature here, so when you're not using it you can stow that away, and it is adjustable like all top links. You've got a locking nut and then you can adjust the length of it to suit the piece of equipment that you're using. Just before we go down the rest of the linkage, this part here is to mount a number plate. Now these tractors, this is the only tractor in the Branson range which is not road registerable as a tractor, but if you have a mower fitted, then you can register it as a garden mower. So it is possible to register the tractor and drive it legally on the road, but only with a mower. It is legal to use it as a tractor in any other condition, but you just can't register it for road use. Further down the linkage here then we have the transmission oil filler point, again in a nice yellow to see what we're using. And just down the side, down here, you can see the little filler, the transmission oil level window there. So you can see how much transmission oil you've got in the tractor. Moving down the linkage now, then we've got the PTO here. Normally, if you weren't using the rear PTO a lot, there's a cover to fit over that, but we've taken it off to fit different pieces of equipment on it at the moment, so you can see it live there. Moving down here, you've got your 2 standard Cat 1 drop arms with normal ball attachments. These will lift by spec 499 kilos at this position here. That doesn't mean it will pick up a piece of equipment that's 499 kilos, because as you can imagine, the centre of gravity of a piece of equipment may be another 30 centimetres rearward of this point here, but it is a guide as to what you could lift up. In general, I would have said something 350, 400 kilos. If its centre of gravity is 30 centimetres behind here, it would easily pick that equipment up, or be capable of picking that equipment up. So attached to your two lift arms, and to lift the linkage up and down, you have the two drop arms. The one on the left hand side is a fixed drop arm, and the one on the right hand side is an adjustable drop arm. Just like on the top link, you have a locking nut, and then you can adjust the height so that you get level between the left and right hand side. And also connected to the drop arm, the lift arms, are two check chains. It's important once you get your piece of equipment on and get the width set up that you set these check chains, and they're adjustable again in the same way. You just turn them, and there's a little locking nut to lock it. You get those set nice and tight so that the piece of equipment can't slop from left to right. That's when you can get damage to the rear of the tractor. And finally, at the bottom here, you have your little drawbar. It has two adjustment points, which I'll show you in a second, but this one is set up as just a standard tow bar. You could put a ball hitch or something in there if you wanted to tow a little ball type trailer. But there's a little pin under here that you can pull out, and you can get a little bit more rearward clearance for the back of the wheels if you're towing trailers and stuff. Just a point on the tyres of the tractor. This particular tractor is kitted out with turf tyres, and you can see that these are designed for low ground damage, so ideal for mowing conditions or anywhere where you don't want the ground to be disrupted by the tractor, both front and rears. We also do a bar type option. They're the same price, they're the same size wheel, but it's an industrial bar type tyre on the rear and the front. And I'll just point out that you can see these on the website or in our brochure. There's the brochure is downloadable on the download section of the website, and if you turn to the one page from the back, you can see some information on the 1905 here. And if you turn to the very back page on the specifications section, then you can see all the way on the right hand side, the 1905 will give you all the detailed specifications of the tractor. Okay, so now I'm going to show you some features of the actual driving of the tractor. So first thing to do always is to put your seatbelt on. Seatbelt on and adjust where you want the seat. Turn the ignition to get your diesel preheat. Just warm up for a few seconds and then start the engine. You can just have the engine running in tick over, it's not a problem at all. Press the brake on the left hand side to release the park brake, and then you're able to drive away. I'll have it in two-wheel drive, and we'll put it into low range. You may just need to tap the pedal slightly to get it in and out of ranges. These are non-synchromesh gears, so you might just need to slightly adjust the position to get them. You can see that they're going in nice and easily now, but I just had to tap it to get it into the low range there. So now we can just drive away, and you can hear that the engine revs are throttling. The engine is throttling up as I'm pressing more and more forward. So we'll just do half a circuit like this. Come to a stop, and then I can put it into high range, and you can see that was full throttle going in low range. So you would use low range if you're doing mowing, or you want to go around some difficult areas, or you want lots of horsepower for the piece of equipment on the back. So now we're pulling away in high range. You can see That is a lot faster. Come to a standstill again here. And now, when I go around this time, I'll just show you the cruise control in high range. So I'll do another circuit, and I'll put cruise control on when I'm running around the back, and I'll take my feet off the pedal so you can see that that's working. So just after this corner, I'll engage cruise control, and now you can see I don't have my feet on the pedals, and if you want to ever stop it, you just press your foot on the brake and you can see it comes to an immediate stop. Disengages the cruise control. One other little thing I'll show you is that was in two-wheel drive, and you can see here, if you have full lock on two-wheel drive, that the two wheels at the front are moving at different speeds. But if we now engage four-wheel drive, we have more traction, but you can see now that the wheels are starting to slip on the ground as you move. Okay, disengage that, put your foot brake on, press your park brake, and turn the engine off. Just going to point out the operation of the drop rate on the tractor that we mentioned earlier. This is the drop rate lever, as we said earlier, and this would be how you would set this up. So we've attached on the back of the tractor a piece of 3-point linkage equipment, in this case a mower, and we put that on, and then what we do is we turn our drop rate lever until it's fully locked. Then I'll get on the tractor, start it up, lift up the piece of 3-point linkage equipment, and then if I press down now, it won't go down at all because it's locked. So if I hold the down lever and then just slowly turn that knob, then you can see now for this piece of equipment we've got a nice steady drop rate, and that's nice and safe. You won't have anything clanking on the ground. You'll have to do this every time you put a different piece of equipment on to set the drop rate so it's right for the weight of the piece of equipment on the back. So now I'm going to talk about the mower option on this tractor. It's a 54-inch side discharge mower, but you can also have a mulch kit attached, which means that you lose the side discharge chute, and that gets blocked off at the end, and you have a slightly different blade setup, which means that it keeps all the grass inside the deck and cuts it up into very fine pieces. This uses more horsepower, but is useful if you want to just drop the grass back onto drop the cut grass back onto the grass rather than collect it. So I'm just going to point out a few things about the operation of the mower. We talked earlier on about the height adjustment, and I'll just show you how that works. So I'll just start the tractor. Now, the way you use it is you lift up the linkage all the way to the top. You can then set the height adjustment. Here it's set at 4 inches, so as you lower the mower, you can see that the mower then stops. Doesn't matter how much further I go down, the mower stops at a 4-inch cut. Now what you can do is you can, if you want to, you can adjust the anti-scalp wheels, 4 of them, on either corner of the mower, so that they would be near the ground, so that you can stop scalping happening if the tractor wheels are driving over an area which there's undulations that the tractor wheels can't keep up with. So the anti-scalp wheels are there to protect from scalping. Generally you would do that when the mower is set at a much lower height than this. So if we want to do that, set the mower at a lower height, then we lift it back up again so the mower is all the way up, like so. And then we can adjust it. I'll adjust it to a 2-inch cut here, and then we can lower the mower down to a 2-inch cut. Now this ground is fairly soft, so it's actually sitting on the ground here, so you have to adjust to your ground conditions, the height of cut that you want to do. But it's nice and easy to do. If we think that's not quite the right position, lift it all the way up, cut to a 3-inch cut down. That's probably right for these kind of conditions. We're just sitting on the top of the grass there to be able to cut. And now, to then use the mower, there's no clutch on this tractor, as I said before, so you don't need to touch anything with your feet. With the revs on the hand throttle at tick over, you can, and your PTO selector in mid PTO for this particular operation, you turn on the PTO. You can then hear, after a small delay, the mower actually going round, and you can see bits and bobs coming out of the chute. And then you set the revs to 540 revs on the dashboard, and then you're clear to run with the tractor. When you're finished mowing, you pull the revs back down to tick over, press the button to take it out of PTO, and you're then clear to stop your tractor. So we'll put the park brake on and turn the tractor off. Okay, to take the mower on and off is a nice operation to do, just takes a couple of minutes. The first thing you do at the front here, there's this attachment mechanism for the mower, and you pull this little pin out, this locking pin, and then this will rotate and the front will come off. And then to take the rear off, you have one of these pins on either side. You can take a little bit of tension, just a little bit of weight on the mower, pull the pin out. It's got a little lock position there, and then you can raise the lift mechanism on the tractor so it's out the way. Then what you can do is push the mower forwards a little bit and disconnect the PTO shaft. It's got a little quick connector at the back. You pull the sleeve back, and the PTO shaft will then easily slide off the mid PTO on the tractor. You can then put the machine into 4-wheel drive with the PTO shaft lying on the floor, and you can then drive backwards. The front wheels will follow this little piece here is for the front wheel to grab onto, and you can drive over the tractor and out the way. Alternatively, if you don't want to do that, you can at that stage push the mower sideways out of the tractor. It's equally valid to do either ways. And then obviously to put the mower back on, you effectively do everything in exact reverse. Takes 5 or 10 minutes to put the mower on and off. Another option on the Branson 1905H is the BL90 loader, and you can see this fitted here. I'll just point out a few features on here. You have your control valve, so bucket in and out, loader up and down on the control valve here, and you've also got a little lock position, so if you want it to not move, you've got a lock feature here to turn that on and off. Just inside here you've got some the quick release couplings, and they're color coded, so yellow to yellow, white to white, green to green, etc. So when you take it on and off, you know which one to plug it back into to not have problems with it. Moving down the loader here, you've got your hitch pins. These lock the loader in position, and we'll see that when we take the loader on and off in a few minutes. So they stay in position when the loader's on to make sure that it's all nice and safe and it can't move. Moving down the arm here, we have, you can notice some grease points here. They're service points. You just need to, according to the manual, check out how intermittent service schedules and give those some grease every now and again to make sure that nothing's going to seize up. Here you've got a bucket level indicator. This has a little notch in the middle of it, and this notch, when it's in this position here, shows that the bucket blade, which you can't necessarily see from sitting on the seat, is flat to the ground. So that's a nice indicator to show what the bucket's doing. You've also got, just coming down onto the front of the bucket here, this is a plain bucket which comes as standard with the loader, a plain dirt bucket. You've got this little level indicator here as well. So this actually shows you that the blade is when this is level, the blade is level on the ground as well. Just something else to point out on here is the fact that you can have different bucket attachments. It's a pinned type bucket attachment, so it does take a few minutes just to take the pins out, but you can then swap this for a muck fork or a dozer blade, or you can have, as an option, a third service fitted and have a 4-in-1 bucket in lieu of this bucket. So a 4-in-1 bucket, you can see those on the website. They have functions to open and close the bucket to give you lots more functionality of use. One other little thing to point out is you have a little pin here, and there's 2 legs, one on either side, and you use these pins, these legs, to take the loader on and off, which we'll see now. Okay, now I'm going to show you the loader coming on and off, so you can see how easy it is to attach and reattach if you want to use the tractor without the loader on for some 3-point linkage operations, mowing or something, where you don't want weight on the front axle. So the first thing to do is to start the engine and put the legs down, which I'll do now. Start the engine, lift the loader up in the air. You can see there that the loader will go faster the more revs you have on the engine. So these little legs here, you take the pin out, the leg will fold in, and you put the pin back in here. One thing to point is never go under a loader when it's up in the air without any mechanical means of fixing it, because it's dangerous. If the hydraulics fail, then it can fall down on you. So without going on the loader, on this side, take the pin out and fold the leg down, put the pin back in here. So that operation is now done. So now we need to start the tractor again. And the idea here is to fold the bucket back, put the legs just on the ground with the bucket just off the ground. So when the legs hit the ground, the bucket wants to be just off the ground, yeah? So we can set that about there. So that's about right. Now what I'll do is I'll just take the locking pins out. You don't want to do this with the loader all the way up in the air, because it could be dangerous if something slipped. So we take both our locking pins out either side. They're just a simple linch pin. So you pull the linch pin out and the pin will come out nice and easily. We can then start the tractor again, and now as we power the loader, it will automatically come off on its own. And you can see there, when I had the bucket just off the ground enough, it could then tip forward. And if we come around this side and you just look in here, what you're trying to do is to get this little bar here out of its resting position in here. So that is the lock position there. You're just trying to get the loader to tip forward so that the little bar comes out. So the next thing to do then is to disconnect the hydraulics, and we can do that by literally pushing this the control lever in all directions, and that releases all the hydraulic pressure out of these quick release couplings. So we do that, and then it should be nice and easy to pull off all of these quick release couplings. You will get a little bit of oil come out, that's to be expected. Now you can stow those safely on the side of the loader, restart the engine, and then you can carefully drive away, and that loader will then sit there nice and safely. It's ideal for it to be on nice level ground so that both sides of the loader are nicely in the right position for when you put the loader back on. So now we can look at how to put the loader back on. and we will do exactly the same in reverse. Start your engine, guide it into position, take it nice and easily at the last little bit, and we want to try and get those pins somewhere near the right position, and then turn off the engine. Again, with the engine turned off, depressurize the valve. And then the best way to do this is to start at the bottom quick release coupling. So the red one is at the bottom, so we can plug that one in first. And then moving up, we have green, and then we have white, and then we have yellow, okay, so they're all now plugged in. You can arrange your pipe work so it sitting a bit more sensibly. Now you've got power on the loader to be able to power it back into position, so we'll try that now. Start the engine. Now what you might have to do is just adjust your position slightly to get it to line up a bit better than we had it. And you can see now as I tip the loader forward, that's locking into position. Once those pins are locked in that position, you can then lift the loader just off the ground, turn off the engine again, and then the pins, I'll do the other side in a second so you can see. You can then fit those lock pins, they should fit nice and easily, back in position, and then you're secured and safe on the loader again. So just fit the linch pin on the inside. Now that is all locked on properly. I lifted the loader a little bit off the floor so that then you can also lift up the stowage legs on this side, and on this side. And now the loader is on there. Make sure your pipes are somewhere sensible, and then your loader is on there nice and safely. You can lift it all the way up. Show the versatility. One other little thing I'll point out is that you have up and down and left and right to do all the bucket operations. You do also have a float position, which is pushing the loader fully forwards, depressurizes everything on the loader, and it'll fall with its own weight, not against any hydraulic pressure. This is really useful if you want to run along for something like a dozer blade or something on the front. You can run along with the tractor and it will follow the contours of the ground as you run along. So that's everything. That is everything on the 1905. Just to sum it up, it's a nice, versatile, easy to use tractor for people who are coming up from your standard sort of garden tractors. There's no clutch, it's got an independent PTO, it's nice and easy to use mowers, it's got a loader for to make it more of a maintenance tool for small areas, but equally it's very good for small contracting type operations where you need mowing or somewhere where a small tractor is ideal. It's got a Yanmar diesel 19 horsepower engine which has got plenty of low end torque to run the mower. It's an ideal tractor for all those small operations.